It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the official Level 2 podcast, episode
Duske.
15. 15,
One
Tom.
of these times it's going to be episode Duske.
We do that for like the 100th episode.
Maybe.
That's like 85 weeks from now.
Yeah.
That's like a year and a half.
Ways to go.
Yeah. Because 15 weeks in a year.
Is there?
That's like a year and a half.
Okay.
Almost exactly a year and a half.
I believe you.
If I can do math quickly, my head probably can't.
terrible.
My name is Keegan. I am one half of Level 2 Gamers. I'm hanging out with the other half of Level 2 Gamers. His name is Tom. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm great. How are
You're
you?
great. I'm good. One of the things, we're going to start off a little different than we normally do because I have something that I've been teasing to you for a while. I've sent you messages like, I got this thing we need to start the podcast with. Can't tell you what it is. I am going to tell you it involves Sandy, my mom. So, my mom was recently cleaning out her house. They're potentially downsizing once my brother graduates from high school, which is going to be this year.
Okay.
And going through some stuff, and she found something very, very interesting. So, let's just say in high school, I didn't have the best attention span, didn't really do my homework very often, and, you know, stereotypical kid, like teenager, just didn't do what I need to do.
You're making me more and more nervous.
Yeah. So the subject of this email, which is she sent me a thing, was called "Those Were the Days." ... And then the document's called Keegan.pdf.
Okay.
So Keegan's life, May 12th, 2007.
Is this your diary?
No.
Okay.
Following rules are for Keegan for the next few months. This action is being taken due to his lying, poor grades, and unhygienic behavior, not wearing his retainer, and poor decisions. This is a contract I signed. You ready for what I signed?
Sure.
First, Keegan is not allowed to wear a hat to school.
Okay.
I always wore a hat. I can tell you how old I was based on what hat I had. I always wear a hat. If you haven't noticed, I always wear a hat. You know me. Even
I
at
wear
work.
lots of hats too, so I'm with you.
Yeah, I always wear a hat.
Go hats.
Next, the cable box will be removed from his room for at least the summer, possibly permanently.
Well, how did that work out?
We'll get to what happened in the end, but I just want to
I know,
tell you
please
here.
do.
There's quite a few.
That's amazing. That's a legal document. Show
it
me
is.
that again.
And I'll put this up. I don't know if I'll screenshot this or what, but I'll try and put it in the video format.
That's real. Okay.
Next. Grounded from Xbox, and she spells Xbox X-box.
I mean,
Xbox,
we all did it,
Xbox
let's be
360, PSP, GameCube, and any electronic gaming system until the end of the school year. When final report cards are issued, if he has a B average with no comments of missing work or could do better, he may have them for the summer. If not, we will reevaluate then. So I didn't say this, but 2007, I was a sophomore in high school.
This is 2007?
2007, May 12th, 2007. She dated it.
God.
I signed it.
Wait, no. Hang on. 2007.
Yeah, I graduated high school in 2009.
2009, you graduated high school?
Yeah, class of 09.
I moved here in 2008.
Yeah.
So this is a year before I moved here.
Yeah.
You made this contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I signed it on May 13th. So this was written May 12th. I signed on May 13th.
Keep going.
Next. Grounded from cell phone, except for situations that are parent approved. And then she does the thing. When final report cards are issued, if he has B average and no comments and could do better or missing work, he may have it for the summer. If not, we'll reevaluate then.
Sandy, are you approving that he's using this cell phone right now?
She sent it to me. I was like, you got to send it to me. I'm talking about it on the podcast. Next, the TV stand will be removed from his room and will be replaced by the desk from the basement. This will provide him an appropriate area to complete his studies in a quiet place, not lying in his bed. So I used to do my math homework in my bed because I didn't have a bed, or I didn't have a desk upstairs, and that was my excuse why I did it in my bed. And my mom, being the smart lady she is, I love my mom to death.
She rolled it into the legal document.
We chuckled over this when she found it.
That's good.
I'm gonna say this was not a very good time in my family though when this was going down.
So it sounds like they might have been.
They might have been a little mad at me.
Difficulties going.
They might have been a little mad at me.
Right.
Next, grounded from his iPod until May 25th. That was a big deal because I took the bus to school.
Didn't
every
that just
day.
come out that year?
No. I had just gotten an iPod. I don't think they were called they weren't called the Classic then. It was still probably iPod Video.
Right. Yeah, I had iPod Video.
Yeah. I know.
30 gigabytes.
Yeah, it was something. But I used to listen to my iPod every day to school, so that was a big deal because I would just put my headphones on. I'd listen to Outkast. That was my jam on the way to school.
Outkast.
Yeah, The Love Below and Speaker Box. That was the first album.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
That's the first album I ever listened to that had a parental advisory sticker on it.
Wow.
So, a little fun fact there.
Speaker Box and Love Below?
Yeah. I bought it because of Hey Ya. The rest of the album was not like Hey Ya.
No.
No.
The album before Stankonia is where it's at.
When they dropped the N-word, I remember going, ooh. So, story behind this, and I'll continue. But we bought that. I can't remember where we were, but I went to the CD store. I went to the record store, whatever the hell it was called, the store, and bought that album. I was like, oh, can we listen to it on the way home? Like, it'd be fun. Because Hey Ya. And my mom knew Hey Ya. She was like, fine, whatever. Ooh, I got in trouble for that.
So
one.
you got it on the basis of Hey Ya without really understanding the context.
I had no idea who Outkast was besides Hey Ya, and the other song I knew was The Way You Move because it was an NBA 2K, but it's an edited version in that. So it wasn't quite the same lyrics. So yeah. Next one. Keegan may use his portable DVD player. That's how you know it's old. Well, kind of old DVD player. iPod, clock/radio. Watch TV in the family room. He does not have first choice of what to watch.
Oh, denied.
Keegan may not watch TV in the basement unless given specific permission. So my basement was my hangout room with my friends, whatever it may be.
Okay.
Keegan is not grounded from activities with friends. However, we will not give him any money to participate in any activity, i.e. going to the movies, etc. He must get a job.
Oh, that's a good parental burn right there.
So wait, sophomore in high school, are you 16 yet? You're 16, right? Because you're 18 to graduate. Yeah, I'd probably be turning 16.
In high school,
I'd be 15,
for us
16.
it was 16. You graduated at 16 in high school.
Yeah, you graduated at 18 here. So 2 years before that.
A little bit different, yeah.
I would have been 15 or 16, depending. Well, I would have been 16 by this time this came out. Because I have a date that tells me. What's next? If Keegan continues to choose not to, that's okay. That English is bad. Keegan chooses not to wear his retainer after school and at night. He must pay us $10 per occurrence.
Ooh,
that added up quickly. So, fun fact:
you have to get a job before you can do that.
I lost money towards a car because I didn't wear my retainer.
Wow.
I kind of want to say the amount, but I don't because of reasons. Obviously, it was a significant amount. Let's just say that it was a few thousand that I lost because I didn't wear my retainer.
Some serious first world problems here. Keegan not wearing his retainer.
Yes. If at the next orthodontics appointment the orthodontist determines his teeth have moved, we will determine additional fines at this time.
Oh man, now you got a third party involved. That's gonna get serious.
If Keegan chooses to not shower at least once every 24 hours, he will lose his cell phone permanently and will have to pay for his own, his own plan.
How long were you showering? How long were you waiting between showers?
I mean, I would do it like every other day, like a teenager. If you didn't shower,
I'm not going to play innocent. I've taken a week before, it happens occasionally now. But
this is the one that got me in trouble. Okay. So if Keegan fakes shower again, he will permanently lose his Xbox 360 in games.
You faked shower?
So what I would do, so my parents were like, you need to shower. So I'd go in there and I'd turn the water on and just hang out.
And they wouldn't notice that you weren't wet when you came out?
So to get around that, I would take the...
Oh, some serious teenage ingenuity coming up. Hold on tight, folks.
I would take the towel afterwards because the floor of the shower is wet. So you take the towel and you pat it down there and it gets it wet. But you had to wait a little bit because it couldn't be too wet because then
So what do you do about your hair?
You fucking just put water on it.
And
or blow dry, or you blow dry it.
Oh, so you would run the shower and then blow dry your hair.
Or I just blow the air around.
Okay.
You make it sound like you're showering.
Well, I again done worse, but continue.
Due to Keegan's behavior, he will have to earn privileges if his behavior continues and his grade continues to deteriorate. Further actions will be taken. Signed, 5/13. Keegan Vi, Sandy, and David Vi.
Oh wow, both of them in there.
Legal document.
That's a legal document.
Like I said, we laugh about it now, me and my mom. But when she sent it,
worked out back then.
When she sent it to me, it was not. Or when
let me ask a question about that. So were you a part of the writing process for that?
No.
Right. So when your parents present you with that, what is your initial reaction? Was it world over?
No, probably not. Probably like because one of the things my mom's talked about later on, she couldn't figure out how to punish me. I didn't care. She could take away my Xbox and go to play basketball. She'd take away my basketball, I'd go play Xbox. I would just find ways to entertain myself. And it got to the point where that's why this thing is so long, because she's like, I gotta take away everything from him. So like,
strap him to a chair and feed him pins.
So therefore, the worst
keep him
thing,
under control.
the worst thing she did to me one time was she would not let me leave the kitchen. So in our kitchen, there's nothing in there. Like, there's no way to entertain yourself. I didn't have like, when you're in the living room, you can watch TV, or like, in my bedroom, you can listen to music.
She confined you to the kitchen.
Yeah, she confined me to the kitchen. That way she could keep an eye on me. No, I couldn't leave the table.
Eat is...
I mean, I could, but...
yeah, eating's...
yeah, but I was a skinny dude back then. I didn't eat that much. So,
wow.
that's just looking at my parents' parenting of me. I wasn't a bad kid. I don't want to say I was smart, because everybody says they're smart, but they were just lazy. But it's true. Like, so the story I'll tell, and this will give a little bit of example of kind of background story to this, is in 10th grade. Yeah, the year this came out, 10th grade. My math class was right after lunch period. Two of my best friends were in that class, Mr. Alec and Mr. Garrett. That's the first name's Alec and Garrett.
I figured you were just putting some flourish onto that.
Yes.
Yeah, they didn't. Mr. Gary seems like a silly name.
Yeah. So we'd hang out at lunch, and I mean, you see me. I get wired. I'd fucking drink soda at lunch, and I get
continuously wired.
I get wired.
Yeah.
And I can't sit still. And when somebody tells me I can't sit still, that's the worst. Like, I can pay attention if I'm doing something. Like, a lot of the times, so where we work, when I have to answer the phones, people are like, "Why are you standing up?" I'm like, "Because I can't sit, but I can focus while standing up, because I'm moving around doing something. I just can't."
Multitasking is not a problem for you.
No. So, get back to the math class. So we'd get in the math class, and every day I'd get kicked out. I would get hundreds on the test. Like, I'd do great on the tests, and Mr. Bernstein, which was the teacher's, I have strong opinions about him that I won't bring here, but Mr. Bernstein, who no longer works there.
That got sinister pretty quickly.
Yeah, I have strong opinions on him. He would kick me out every day because I would be a distraction, because I was bored. I didn't know what to do, because I'd just sit there.
I believe you do the math problems.
I finished it, though. That's what I'm saying. Like, he would be teaching the class, and I would be done. So I'm like, now what do I do? Pick my nose?
Gotcha.
So you
were ruining everyone else's education.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what it came down to. Like, as I've gotten older, I've seen that. So what happened was he would kick me out, and then Mr. Christopher, and that is actually, his name is Mr. Christopher. His last name's Christopher.
Oh, all right.
I'll
go with it.
I think his first name was Dennis. I'm not quite sure. I think Dennis Christopher.
Weirdo.
He would see me every day, because his classroom was right down the hall, and every day he'd walk by. At first, I didn't know who he was. The school is small if you knew who he was, but I had not had a class with him or anything, so I didn't know him personally. And first day was like, "What'd you do?" And I was like, "I just got kicked out." Like, you stand outside the thing. Mr. Bernstein's like, "Go sit out there." It's like, "Cool, take my desk, go." But then it became a consistent thing, and he'd stop by. So then, this is a blessing and a curse. He would take me, so every day, whenever I got kicked out and he'd see me, he would take me to his classroom, because it just happened to be his like off period, his prep period, and he was actually the 11th grade calculus teacher. So he would go and teach me calculus, and it was funny because, like, I mean, I'm still wired, I'm still me, but at the same time, I had something to do. I had somewhere to put my energy, versus in Mr. Bernstein's class, I didn't.
So you're essentially Goodwill Hunting in this. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's about a janitor that is really, really smart. So the janitor will be like brushing up in the school, and they put like a puzzle up on the board, and he solves it. So you've already ripped through your material.
Yeah.
You've upset the teacher, you're out in the hallway in trouble, and then you go in and you get taught some harder puzzles.
Mr. Christopher comes in and teaches me. The ironic part of that is Mr. Christopher became my math teacher the next year, and the cycle kind of continued, but he then knew to give me something more difficult. So like, I took regular math. I was never in honors math, partially again because I didn't want to, because I was lazy. Not that I wasn't smart enough to do it. English has always been my weak point. Math, numbers, I'm great with. English,
I have enough English for the both of us.
English, I suck. Like, it's sad how bad I am at English sometimes. But math, I'm really good at. So he would then give me like more advanced problems. So I actually technically took pre-calc and calculus almost at the same time. Because he's like, "If you want this, I'll give it to you." And when I'm in class, like when I have something to do where I can't go anywhere else, I'm fine. Like in your basement, when we record, this to me is like, okay, we're recording. Like, mindset, I'm recording. When I'm in his classroom, I'm there to learn, but he's also giving me things to challenge me, to keep me going. When I go home, it's a different ballgame, because you have so many distractions at home of video games, friends, whatever it may be, that it's like...
You did have those distractions until...
You came over here.
Until the document was signed up.
I mean, I still have the distractions, but...
No, I'm saying that, like, you had all those things, and then Sandy and Dave were like, no, you don't. There's legal documents, sign it, or go to jail.
Yep. I actually had another legal document that I hope she finds, too, about me getting... I don't want to say kicked out of my house, but I was kicked out of my house. Greatest thing they ever did to me.
Wow.
I turned 18. I dropped out of college. Actually, I was 20 at the time because I did college for 2 years, but I dropped out. My mom said, you have 6 months to get out of my house. Not in the we don't love you way, but you need to grow up way. And greatest thing she ever did. I say I come from tough love. I love my parents to death. They've raised me very well with how obnoxious I can be. And it's true. I mean... I love my mom to death. My dad I'm not as close with because he traveled, but my mom, me and her, pretty close. And it was, like I said, when she sent this to me, we had a good conversation and chuckle about it. And I was like, you need to find the other one because it's good. It's not quite as in-depth and long. I really want to know where she found this. I don't know where she would have filed. Like, she probably filed this away somewhere. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's that type of person.
Yeah, I that would come back to your first girlfriend. That's what my mum did. My mum found all these pictures of me naked as a baby, and the first girlfriend I ever had, she opened up this book like, hey, look at this.
Look, it's Tom.
And I was like, oh, gosh.
So
interesting.
But yeah, so math. Getting back to Mr. Bernstein, the one I kind of regret, the one that sticks in my mind, and this was when I was like, okay, might have crossed the line. You know the line I tend to go over a lot of the time.
Familiar.
So we were in math class, and a couple of us were acting out and distracting the class, and Mr. Bernstein's, okay, we're gonna have an exam. And I turned to him and I go, is it an oral exam? And Danielle, who is very perverted and very much like me when it comes to humor, like I love dirty jokes, she's like, oh shit, Mr. Bernstein, you would love that from me, wouldn't you? And I was like, oh god, this escalated. So I mean, I was laughing my ass off because it's awesome, but that time I got sent to the principal's office.
Oh, man, it cracks me up a little bit, the difference between your school and our school. And at my school, we had a math teacher that no one particularly liked. We thought he was a little bit nuts. He was really good at math, but just not very good at, like, social situations, if that makes sense.
Which I've noticed that with a lot of... That's why I like Mr. Christopher. He's very sociable. Mr. Bernstein, the reason I didn't like him was he wasn't a teacher. He was getting a paycheck, and you knew he wanted to do something else, but he's doing this because he couldn't get that career going on. That's all I'm going to say about it, because I have very strong opinions on that dude. And
well, let's not demonize anyone.
I don't know what the hell he's doing now, but Mr. Bernstein, if you watch us, I don't like you. And I think you knew that already, though. But anyways, you were saying. I've said it to his face. I've said that to his face many a times. Like, I don't like him.
Fair enough. But our math teacher's name was, I feel bad saying Mr. this, Mr. that, because people could trace this stuff, I'm sure. But his name was Mr. Bennett. And,
well, Bennett's a pretty generic
name. Yeah, it's a pretty common name.
Unless I knew what school you went to, but I'm sure they could find.
Yeah, that's not even dry. Yeah. And we called him Mr. B-Nod. I don't know why. It was just something that was made up by a couple other guys in the class. But he was so oblivious. Like, he thought he was being funny. Like, if he had some papers or a folder or whatever, he'd have like a picture of the Teletubbies on the other side of it, like stuck to it, and he was like, oh, I'm such a happy teacher. And the people would take advantage of it.
So he was trying too hard.
Not really trying too hard so much as like trying his best, bless him, but he just wasn't getting anywhere. And like, this was a class that you could, because we used to drink a lot, right? I remember, we're talking like, this for me was age 12, 13.
What's the drinking age in?
18.
Is it?
Yeah. So we were drinking by like 11.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's like 12, 13, 14 maybe. And, we would get people to buy us booze, older brothers, things like that. And we would go to like discos and things like that. We had school disco. Everyone would get pissed before. And then you would just get like a massive like load of gum. And and you would be sat there with like 8 things of gum in your mouth, like, yeah, no one's gonna smell the vodka after this. You just
fair enough
that the teachers weren't like, what, can you smell your breath? And so it was ridiculous. It is what it is. Anyone from Europe knows exactly what I'm talking about. And so anyway, like, we would drink in his class. We would have leftover booze from like stuff, and we would have it in our backpacks and stuff, and just like pass around. 2020 was the drink. Anyone from England from that era knows what I'm talking about. And it was just like a fruity liquor, basically.
Yeah.
And
were there like the Smirnoff things similar to
Smirnoff was there, yeah, but this was like hard liquor.
Okay.
So it was like,
so it's actually,
imagine like cherry flavored hard liquor.
Okay.
Or cherry flavored vodka or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of more like that. And, you know, we'd just drink in his class. And like the pranks that they would pull on him were insane because he would leave the room quite a lot. And then someone would like take his desk and like literally take it outside the room and put it in the hallway.
I've done that before.
I'm pretty sure I was told he got locked in the cupboard once. I'm not sure how true that was. But, you know, he was one of those guys. And there was I think everyone had a lot of those guys. Like some that were on the verge of a mental breakdown, some that
we made our Spanish teacher cry my freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
We had our original Spanish teacher was on maternity leave, and this one was from Mexico, so she spoke, this was Spanish 1, so you should be able to speak a lot of English. She spoke very little Spanish, and we got frustrated because she wasn't teaching us very well, because we're like, you can't translate this for us because you're not saying it, or whatever it may be. Like, the whole class, like, when you get a class together, it's amazing the power you can have, but we're all like, this is dumb. They actually had the assistant principal come down because she left crying, and she actually, I think, got fired in the end. But it was one of those things where he came down and she was not in the room, and he's like, let's talk about what's going on. And we're all like, these are legitimate concerns. Like, we're not trying to be assholes to her, but we're not learning, and we feel like this was one of the few times I feel like I was being deprived of an education that I actually cared about. So I felt bad about it that she had that, but at the same time, it's crazy when you have a teacher, when you have that. Teachers are weird because there's some of them that they have your tenure and then they get comfortable and they don't want to give a shit. Yeah. There's other ones that are just amazing humans. Miss Slodic Maharg, who was my 10th grade social, I can't remember if it's called social studies or whatever the history thing is. She was probably one of the greatest teachers to me because she is the one who told me to stop writing notes. And because most teachers like take notes, like you want to take notes. And she realized very quickly that if I stopped taking notes, I could retain more information because I couldn't write and listen at the same time because I would get the big points and miss all the details. And she's like, stop taking notes, see what happens. Just do it for one test. We'll do it for a section. I won't hold it against you if you bomb it. So I did that, and my grades instantly went from a D to a B. Nice. And she that's a teacher being like, he learns this way. Make sure he's aware he learns this way. And I'm friends with her on Facebook. We talk every so often, and it's really quite interesting, the bond I have with a few of my teachers that you're like, I wouldn't ever, like I talked about my basketball coach a few weeks ago, same thing, where he's impacted my life greatly. But Miss Slodic Maharg to this day is awesome. She's also from, I think, Austria is where her family's from. So when we got to World War II, I would talk to her a lot because I actually got to talk to her parents who were over there during some of it. So I can't really think of any off the top of my head that I would say like, oh, they changed my life so much. It was Miss Reisenbake was another one. I had quite a few. Reisenbake? Yeah, it's it may as well have been called Miss Wake and Bake. No, it's but her name was, it's some I'm gonna say like Norway, like Dutch. It's a Dutch name. Gotcha. The way it's spelled. It was the worst name to have to spell on anything because it's RJISSENBEEK. Reisenbake. I'm sure she says it differently than that, but she said Miss Reisenbake, like that, call me that. And she actually taught me, she was one of those teachers I had before I had her as a teacher. She taught me for SAT prep. She taught me, because again, English, very bad at English. To give you an idea on my SAT scores, I got a perfect score on math. I got a less than perfect score on English. Like, I'm talking very bad on English. Like, writing, I cannot do. Which is funny because I had a cartoon in production at Cartoon Network that I wrote a script for, but that's also different writing. It's humorous to me because I'm the exact opposite. So I failed math in high school. I didn't get the required grades. I was a D, and I had to retake it in college. I retook it in college and managed to get it up to a C, and I barely got that C. But with English and stuff, I've always had a natural ability for it. I remember... Which is why I think you were good at writing. So one of the things when we did the reviews, I think that's why you're better at it, because you're better at doing that kind of stuff. You're more of a... it's not analytical thing. I don't know what the words I'm looking for, but I'm like, yes, go on. Like for me, I don't think before I speak a lot of the times, and I don't. Critical thinkers. Yeah, I mean, I'm very analytical. Like I said, numbers, I crunch very easily. I can see a situation when it comes to that, like solving a problem. I'm really good at that. Word problems, I'm really good at that. But when it comes to any sort of writing or punctuation or just English words, there's a lot of words that I that people say, I'm like, I have no idea what you just said. Can you please put that?
You're the anti-Donald Trump. You're like, I have the worst words. I have no words at all.
I have no words. Brad was doing that all day today at work. Is great. But no, I just never put the effort into. I mean, my favorite word ever is narcissistic, because I love the way it sounded, which is bad because I figured out what the word narcissistic meant after I liked the word. So, but yeah, that was my contract in English.
That's exciting. Yeah. Definitely make sure that you actually include that somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe
I've got it.
Maybe black out the signatures so people can't forge your mom and dad's signature and yours.
Yeah,
but put it up so they can read it.
Yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
My mom, like I said, she sent it to me, and I was like, or she said she found it, and she's like, guess what I found? I was like, what? She's like, the contract, and I was like, can you send it to me? I'm gonna
do it on Instagram as well, maybe for people listening.
We'll see.
On audio. So
I don't know. I have to check to make sure there's no. I don't think our address or anything's on there. I just want to make sure there's no information on there that is doing any information.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That was
cool.
An interesting.
Like I said, I didn't want to break it to you before because I couldn't give you a heads up. Did you hear this?
Yeah. No, that's funny. Thank you.
So the next thing we want to talk about is actually yesterday. As of the time this goes up, as in like a week from now,
yesterday
when we're recording.
In reality, not yesterday when we're recording.
Yes. Yeah, in their reality, in our reality,
it's yesterday. In our reality, it's like a week.
It's a Sunday
from now.
Yeah. It's like 5 days, 5 days. Yeah. I don't know today. Today's
I told
Tuesday.
You're bad at math.
Yeah. No, it's English. It's because I don't know the day of the week. If I knew the day of the week, I'd be good. Tuesday's 2, Sunday's 7, so that's 5 days. That's literally how I figured that out. Fun fact.
You're an interesting man.
2-year anniversary.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. I actually had a Facebook post on my personal Facebook page last night when I couldn't sleep. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. I did not get any sleep last night. No, I literally just couldn't fall asleep. Like, I didn't stay up doing anything. I went to bed at 9:30, could not fall asleep. Like, I even told David, I'm not playing games tonight. I'm trying to go to bed, and I couldn't. And then I texted me like 12:30. I'm like, fuck, I can't sleep.
Sleeping pills.
I do Neuro sleep, but I forgot to get some last night.
You need,
dude, it knocks me the fuck out.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't work last night.
I didn't drink it last night.
Well,
I should have. But the problem with that is if I wait too long, then it'll knock me out, and I'll wake up the next morning and be like, oh god.
Yeah, I get too zonked off that stuff.
That's why I like it. It's not as bad as like ZQL, but it'll still knock me on my butt.
There you go.
But no, 2 years. It's February 5th, 2015 was the I Want You to Kill a Crab video. The first video is 20-something seconds, I think. I don't remember.
I think it's like 13.
Something.
Really, really
we should check, but it would screw up the recording.
It definitely will. Let's not worry about it.
You guys can go look. You'll know.
Yeah.
If you're watching or listening.
Blue knows.
For those,
Blue's listening. He knows.
For those of you who just follow us on the podcast, if you head over to love2gamers.com, you can see us video-wise with this audio podcast you're seeing is in video form, as well as other videos. So yeah, last 2 years we've been on YouTube, and it's been a hell of a journey. Like I was saying, last night I did a post that, again, not that YouTube's all about money, but it's like we hit another milestone.
We did.
We officially are going to get paid from YouTube for the first time.
Ever from YouTube.
Which is kind of cool. It took us 2 years, almost to the day.
It's a nice feeling. I wasn't exactly expecting to be able to live off this to begin with, and obviously we're definitely nowhere near that yet. I mean, $1 for 2 years. I don't know if you could stretch that, but redact that last part. Yeah. So it is what it is, but it's nice. It's nice to feel like you actually are hitting that point where it can become a sustainable model. We're constantly changing, I think, which is fun. And
I think we say it every time, but I feel like we're getting closer to what we need to be, or want to not need to be, but want to be.
I think it's just that we're not afraid to
try,
analyze, and I mean, you said you love analysis and analytics and things like that, and it's does it make sense now? Yeah, it does.
How much math
and I got into it for a little bit. I'm kind of lesser concerned now, more so.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's really cool. I like it a lot now to kind of look back at where we were, and I do. So a little backstory, if y'all don't know, I used to watch the analytics every day. Like, I'd ask Tom, like, hey, this is why is this not doing it? This is doing bad. Now I do it in like quarters or chunks, like a business would, and be like, so to this quarter last year we were at this point, we're now at this point, we've tripled our growth, because when you look at it day to day, you're like, why'd that video get 20 views? Why'd this one get 4? Why'd that one get 132?
Yeah.
Like, you see that, but you don't see the overall growth. I was actually going to pull up real quick here.
Go ahead.
By the way, the YouTube mobile app has been updated. It's a lot nicer now. I remember this was garbage. We got some good real time, or whatever. I'm going to watch minutes. This is the one that got me. So, watch time in minutes, our lifetime of our channel. How many minutes do you think people have watched us?
I have no earthly idea.
227,858 as of the recording of this. So this is January 31st, 2015, which is when we technically made the account. First video went live the 5th to January 29th, 2017. 200, I did the math at one point. I want to say that's 150 something days that people have watched us, which is
weird.
That's a weird thing to think. Views wise, I mean, views don't matter they matter, but they don't matter as much as I think minutes, because to me, minutes is the cooler thing of like people are engaged and watching it. 46,400. Oh God, it's all 4s and 6s. 46,646 views lifetime, and our most views in one period was 1.45 thousand.
Wow.
So a little behind the scenes stuff. I can't go into much of the other stuff because YouTube terms of service don't allow that. But we're super excited with where we're at. We're super excited with the growth and love and support we've had from various different people throughout the years.
Absolutely. And I think we're at a point
I think we're at a point where we're just starting to get on the other side of a slump. I feel like I'm seeing the needle move a little bit. There's a new guy who joined us on the I think he joined on the Borderlands stream, Pi, and then he joined us again for the Dead Island stream that we did. I was recording this last Sunday, as of watching this 2 Sundays ago. Got that? Math. I'm good at it. You're not.
I'm terrible.
Actually, you're not. They probably way smarter than I am. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's cool to have those people that just are there and stick around, like Blue. Like you said, Blue from the get-go. Like the other day I told him, because somebody posted in the Gamers YouTube group, like, how did you find this group? And I was like, well, Blue told me to come here from another group. And he goes, I did? I go, yeah, you did a lot of shit for us you probably don't remember. Because he was there. I mean, he was there around 50 subscribers, I believe. And we're now at 780, I believe. Something around that range.
Something around that
Who knows?
Region.
Could go up, could go down.
Hoping to cross over 1K this year.
Yes.
I think that's a good goal for us. But I think we'll be okay because, we have some little tweaks we're going to apply, which should help for content. And then also
conventions.
We have a couple cons to go to this year.
And events are always good.
Yeah.
I mean, our E3 coverage, as janky as it felt,
was cool.
Good, other than YouTube going no.
Yeah,
but
I mean, we're gonna circumnavigate that this time around. We're sticking with Twitch, right?
Yeah.
So you can watch.
Well, I might do a dual stream and see on the first day and see what happens. We'll figure it out. I mean, that's months away.
Part of the fun.
But no, I honestly just want to say thank you to anybody who's ever watched and or listened and or shared, commented, liked, whatever else you can do. Favorite.
Yeah.
Add to playlist.
It's cool.
To John, who said hi to me in real life.
Yeah. Good on you, Johnny. But it's just nice. It's a nice feeling. I think
it doesn't feel like 2 years.
It definitely doesn't feel like 2 years. It also doesn't feel like we've had like 4 iterations of the show, which we have at this point.
The best is when you look at, so the video that I put up on Friday, 2 Fridays ago, math, was the vault video of Stranded Deep. Fun fact, that video was edited in March of 2015. So that was the first series we did. I don't know why we stopped. I think it's just because we had another game come out, and as we normally do, we just never finished.
Dying Light, wasn't it?
Dying Light came out instead.
We did a bit on that instead.
Yeah. So those have been edited for years on a hard drive, and I went to Tom. I was like, I kind of want to do like an archive because we have at least 6 episodes that never made it to air.
Yeah.
So it's really fun going back and watching those episodes and kind of the back and forth. The audio from the game is actually pretty good, even though it's coming through on microphones.
Yeah.
I was quite surprised.
We had decent quality.
You tried to do something with your voice though. It was weird.
Yeah, it wasn't that I was trying per se. It just was the way that it came out.
But
it was like this. I was really just kind of doing my extreme voice, but I was doing it in a way that it never stopped.
Yes, and you would talk to me to go. I want you to go punch that shark, and I'm going to lose the engine. That's essentially what happened in that thing. Yeah. But getting back to the vault stuff, we have a few things that are locked away in the vault that never made it to air. I might do like a collection of best of.
We also have a secret website for videos that get banned from YouTube, which I actually watched the 3 videos from that the other day.
The VidMe?
We have a vid.me, yeah. If you guys are into vid.me, which is a sort of a contender to YouTube right now that has far less regulation, there's a lot of people that have kind of navigated over there. Now, we are not keeping our account maintained on both, but what we did decide to do for fun and for people that just might be interested in it is anything that got banned from YouTube
went up on there.
Would not get banned from VidMe. So that's why our holiday video was there, but also we put a couple reviews up, which are still relatively relevant. So by all means, hop over to vid.me and search for Level 2 Gaming, and you should find that stuff there too.
Level 2 Gamers STL is I think what we're officially under. But yeah, it's just crazy. It's like I said, it hasn't felt like 2 years, and it's weird because I've said this before on the show, and obviously you've heard it many times because you were there. But we started on a table very similar to this.
Yeah.
In my apartment.
Yeah.
Against the wall. We had the cardboard with the foam there so it wouldn't echo off the wall. You had your USB mic that you happen to have. I had my USB mic that I happen to have, and we plugged them into the iMac and said, let's figure out what we're gonna do. Yeah, we didn't know. And then Charlie 1 and Charlie 2, we started pretty good there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that we came from that, and now like the setup we do, like we set up studio lights. I feel like we're way more legit when it comes to production.
Yeah.
I think our commentary has changed and grown at the same time.
One of the things that we've kind of noticed is that in order to sort of not only separate yourself out a little bit, but just kind of to play to your strengths, you have to focus on the things you do well. And I think that one of the things that we tend to do quite well is just talk, to be honest. I mean, it would suck if we couldn't talk very well, because that's what our channel
There was one episode where I didn't, or one part of an episode where I didn't talk. Do you remember?
And was it Until Dawn?
No. It was Mario Kart. So remember, Jordan said something. He's like, I don't think you can stop talking, Keegan, or I need you to shut up. And I was like, fine. And
I do vaguely
So
recall
during one of the tracks, I shut up, and it was funny because when you listen to it, you can hear like you're trying to fill the air, and you're like, this is weird.
Yeah, fuck you for that.
Yeah, it was great because I could like, knowing you, I knew you're like, I got to say something.
Yeah.
And
dead air is not fun.
I'm really good at filling dead air.
Yeah.
I can just keep talking.
That's why I enjoy conversating with you, is because there's never really a moment where we just get all awkward and quiet. It's just kind of continuous.
Unless we talk about the SS.
That was only brief.
Brief. or every so often we'll make eye contact. We're like, did we just say that?
Yeah.
It'll be those moments.
It happens.
But that's who we are.
I mean, running for president anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, that's what you think.
Not that it matters.
Keegan 2020. Right? That's the next election, 2020.
As your VP.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't do Kanye. Who would be my VP? I don't know who my VP would be.
I would like to think I would be your VP.
I was going to say Deadpool.
No,
Deadpool would be a fun VP.
Not even a real thing.
You can't be VP because you're not American.
That's true.
So, that already nixed you out.
Yeah.
They nixed you out.
I could be governor or something. You can make me governor or something. That might be fun.
I mean, let's be honest. I could probably, at this point, if I became president, tell you to do whatever the hell I wanted you to do. So.
You'd like to think you could, but I think we'd see some, no, Mr. President, go fuck yourself. We'll see how that works.
Yeah, but...
Moving on.
Yeah, getting back.
Moving on. Yeah, 2 years. Thanks a lot. You're awesome. We're very grateful.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, on to the... bonus level. I gotta pull it up because I don't remember what it was. I have it on my notes. I told you before what we were doing, and I completely just brain farted.
Let me see if I can remember. It was a good question. I remember chewing on it for a second when you said it. Sequels, right?
Do video game sequels still matter?
Yeah.
That was the question. I'm gonna actually.
And you framed it well enough to me that I decided to talk to you about it because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, because a little fun fact for those of you who don't know, on my iPhone here, I have a list of podcast topics, and they have checks if we done them. They don't have checks if we don't. Mm-hmm. Some of them, I don't know if we're going to do it.
We have some that are relevant to certain guests as well.
Yeah. My brain also, like, I'll be laying in bed or something, and that's why I put it on my notes, because it's like, let's do that. Good.
I'm glad that you're doing it.
But anyways, do video game sequels still matter? So what brought this to my attention was essentially last year with Battlefield 1, Call of Duty, and Titanfall 2. They all sold worse than the game before them. Mm-hmm. They were big sellers, but they sold worse than the game before them. And it's gotten to the point where having a number or having a sequel to a game, it used to be that if Assassin's Creed, let's use that as an example. Assassin's Creed came out, it sold all right, But Assassin's Creed 2, granted the game was better, sold that much better. So it's like one of those things where the second game usually does better because the first game is good and you just build upon what you've already built. Assuming the first game's good. If it wasn't good, they probably wouldn't make a sequel. That's how video games work. It's called making money.
Ta-da.
So that's what brought it on, is do numbers really matter? I think to start it off, I think my personal issue with it is we are so high in numbers right now on things like Final Fantasy 15.
True.
Battlefield 1 is what, the 5th, 6th, 7th game?
There's a few Battlefield had some weird ones where they were like subtitled ones, like Battlefield 1943.
What about like do they have like mainline games? I don't follow the series nearly as closely as I should.
1942, I think, was one of them. Yeah, and then honestly, it's been so long since I dug into that series properly. But yeah, they had like a little. I remember there was a nice sub game. It was like a 4 or 5 level game that they had for $15 on the PS3, which was, I don't know if they ever included that as like a canon game or like a, but then they also had a spin-off of the Bad Company series, Bad Company 1, Bad Company 2, so that's another sequel to a subsect.
And it's kind of like what Call of Duty does with their different developers. You had Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. You had Black Ops 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
You had was gonna be Ghost 1, 2, and 3, but that game sucked.
Yeah.
And then what am I missing? I'm missing one of them.
Infinite Warfare and Advanced Warfare.
I guess they kind of go together, but not really.
Advanced, Infinite. I mean, I don't know what you do after Infinite. What are they going to be like? Infinite and 1?
Endless.
Infinite plus 1.
Yeah. Infinity plus 1. Duh.
Oh god, that would suck so bad. But it sucked when Call of Duty went to space. Did you play the game at all?
I
have. I bought it. It's shit. But I mean, any
it reminded me of Halo, which is why I kind of liked it.
It's not shit. It took a lot of developers,
but it's not Call of Duty.
Time to put it together. But no, it's
there's a difference.
Play. It could be if it was named anything other than a Call of Duty, I'd probably be more into it.
I preferred Titanfall over Call of Duty.
At this point in time, I would be inclined to agree. I prefer the movement of Titanfall. I love the grappling hook and the way that controls. And I like the idea of the Titans as well as being kind of an extra bonus thing. So I would say I agree.
Sequels. There's a big sequel coming out this year that I think will break the mold, but that's because this company breaks the mold every time they sell a fucking game. Red Dead Redemption 2. Let's be honest, it's probably going to sell way more than Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Same thing with GTA. GTA 5 sold way more than GTA 4.
Red Dead and in general, Rockstar is a company that will always have that happen.
And it's because
there are certain companies that do and certain companies that don't.
And I think that's partially because Rockstar does. They do it right. They have infinite money, they have infinite time, and they have the best developers in the world.
Yeah, they have amazing engines. They put a lot of time and thought and effort into every game, every tiny detail, but they take their time with it, which is, I think that's really what
like it's 5 years between GTAs.
But if you look at companies like, I know that you recently started a love affair with Ubisoft, but
that'll be a different topic.
Like Ubisoft as a company, they were driving Assassin's Creed into the ground,
which is why I stopped playing. I think when the pirate one, I was like, eh. Like it was a cool thing, but I just didn't play it because at that point I was like,
game. But why don't you just make a different game with that theme as opposed to having to like rope it into this existing franchise that's already floundering a little bit? Yeah. The third one, everyone had super high hopes for because
I never played it.
Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and I think it was like a Revolution or something.
I stopped at Brotherhood. That was the third one.
Brotherhood is my favorite.
That's the last one. That's the last one I played.
It's the mid-second.
Yes.
Game. And then I know the fact that I have to say
welcome to video games.
But Assassin's Creed 3 didn't really fare very well. That was probably to do with the 9-hour tutorial before you got to be an assassin. That was a terrible idea. I just don't think Connor resonated with the general audience as much as Ezio did, because they gave Ezio 3 games and then you're changing him up for this kind of cocky, bratty little Native American kid, and it wasn't the same kind of suave charm that Ezio had. So you just felt you were paying.
It's like Watch Dogs 1 and 2. Watch Dogs 1 I think failed primarily because Aiden Pierce was a bad character.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the concept of the game was good. And I'm happy that Watch Dogs 2 has gotten, again, Watch Dogs 2 I think sold less than Watch Dogs 1.
But even that would be more on the damage that Watch Dogs 1 did, because I wasn't going to buy it
until Jordan and Walker
like, and they were all like, dude, actually it's really good.
I've got and
I actually really enjoyed it.
I got the demo trial, whatever the hell they call it, the first 3 hours. So I'm going to play it.
It's really
but I
bad.
haven't.
It's not bad at all. And
the thing to me though is it's another big giant game that I tend to. As you said, I love Ubisoft now, and I've gotten big giant games going on, and I was like, I don't need time for
I mean, it's no bigger than Grand Theft. Like the single.
Would you know how much time I spent in Grand Theft Auto?
But you played multiplayer a lot online.
I played zero single player.
Watch Dogs has a weird multiplayer. It's not typical.
Yeah, that's kind of what's been holding back though, is because it's not Grand Theft Auto style.
Because I know that you don't particularly like non-social games.
I've literally played, I think, 20 minutes of GTA's story, and I've played 14 or 15 days of GTA Online.
Surprisingly good story. You are wasting time.
No, I'm not. I've got my money's worth.
Yeah, but there's more there. And that
I don't care.
Narrative is good.
It means nothing to me.
So weird.
I am. I don't like playing by myself. I have to have friends. I told Tom one of the games I'm looking at that's coming out shortly is Ghost Recon Wildlands, and it wasn't even on my radar. As he said, I have a love affair with Ubisoft. I decided to make the Keegan games, the big world, open world game to play with friends. Like, that's me in a nutshell. So I'm looking at this game, and I was like, let's do it. Maybe, probably. We're gonna see. I'm waiting to see reviews. Kind of.
You're pretty stoked on For Honor right now, right?
Yes, I pre-ordered that as of recording today. I'm super excited. I got into the alpha and into both. Well, I got into the first beta, which was, I found out later on it was a press beta. So apparently they labeled me as press and like, here you go, here's a key. I was like, sweet. And then David gave me a key to the current beta or the most recent beta going on, because I didn't technically get into that, but since I gave him a key to the alpha, he's like, I'll give you a key to the beta. That's why I have all your friends sign up for everything, so that way if you get in, you can share stuff. And then pre-order the game, and I'm super, like, that game was not even on my radar, because it looks so bad at E3. That whole Ubisoft presentation was
Everything
horrible.
I've seen on that game so far makes me hate it.
Dude,
so
but
I'm really quite shocked that you guys seem to love it so much.
And I'm going to tell you, when you first play, you're going to hate it. Like, you're gonna hate the controls. Once you figure out the controls, though, it's a whole different ballgame. Like, it's not a very unique game by any stretch of the imagination, but the control and the combat, you feel so in control of what you're doing when you're fighting. And I've never had a game do that with me nearly as close as that.
Have you ever played like a UFC fighting game?
Yeah.
They're kind of like Fight Night, but you have your legs and your locks and things like that as well. Is it kind of that level of like minutia with the controls?
Yes. Yeah.
So
well,
I don't like that.
Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't go quite in depth. That's why.
Is it like button mash?
No.
It's not.
So the way it works, getting into the controls, is obviously left stick is like move around as it normally is. The right stick, you have 3 ways you can point your weapon. I'm going to say axe because that's what I use. So you can see, so if you can lock onto the other character, or you can free roam run around, but I'd recommend you lock onto somebody so you can see when they're going to attack you. And it's a shield, and there's 3 parts of the shield. There's the right, left, and top. If somebody's going to attack you with a heavy attack, you see it flashes red, so you have a chance to go up and block them, and then you can counter them with either a squares like your knockback, or you can do a light or a heavy attack to counter them. And it's just the timing sequences of things is just so well done.
Did you ever play the original Batman Arkham games?
Yes, it's very similar to that. Okay. And like I said, even the Batman games, I don't know what it was about. I didn't like those nearly as much, but I also think it's because I couldn't play with friends. Again, it's weird that it comes back to that, but it's such a big deal for me. But it is very similar to that, where the control that
timing is everything.
Yeah, the control you have is amazing. And like I said, when you first start out, you're like, I fucking suck. I can't do this. So like me and David were playing. We were mad. We couldn't play. Like we sucked. We're like, we put it down and we're like, let's try it again. Just give it another chance during the alpha, and we did, and we fucking fell in love with it pretty quickly after that, because. If anybody out there listening or watching is going to pick it up, watch the tutorial videos. I very rarely tell people to go to the tutorials and do the tutorials, but it will help you a shit ton. And start in PvE, go to PvP later, for obvious reasons, because you'll get your ass kicked in PvP by people like me. I'm actually really good in that game. It's probably why I like it. I've gone with 0 deaths in multiple matches in the beta.
Is it just like you versus one other person? Is it an army? Are you controlling?
There's 3 different. as of right now in the beta, and I assume it's going to be like this in the final release, there's 3 different game modes, and then there's also going to be a single player. I want to know if the single player is co-op. I don't think they've come out and stated whether it is or not, but that's here nor there. If it is co-op, I'll play it. If it's not, I won't play it. Again, friends. So there's one game mode is called Duel, where it's 1v1. So you literally face down to the person, you fight each other. There's another one called Brawl, which is 2v2, where same thing is the duel. It's just you have another person with you, and you start in 2 different locations. So the part that sucks, and I think where they kind of need to fix the game, is switching between people that are hitting you. So like, say me and David are playing Brawl, David dies, his guy then comes running towards me to kill me. Well, I'm already focused on this guy attacking me. It's not easy to quickly switch between blocking this guy, blocking that guy, attack this guy, block. Like, I've yet to figure out how to do that fluidly, and I feel like I have most of the controls down at this point. At least some basic understanding of how to do it. That I've yet to figure out. So that's one thing I think they need to fix. And then there was a 3v3 mode in the alpha. I can't remember. I want to say it's called... No, Dominion's 4v4. There's a 3v3 mode. I can't remember what it was, though. There's one in the alpha. And then Dominion is 4v4, and this is where your massive army comes in. So the way this works is you have... Both sides have 4, like... I'll call them heroes. They're warriors, whatever you want to call them. The big guys, they stand out among everybody else, and you have to capture the points. So you have A, B, and C you capture. But then in point B, the middle point of everything, there's AI guys that are fighting each other, and they push the line back and forth. So you get points for killing the AIs, but you get more points for killing a human and capturing points. So if you capture a point, you get 100 points. First one, I think 1,500 wins, and then you get 2 points every second if you're standing on it, or 1 point every second if you just own it.
Gotcha.
If you kill an AI character, you get 1 point per AI killed, and they're really easy to kill. Especially I'm the big brute guy. I'm the raider, so I just have a big axe and I just swing in the middle of them. What sucks though, one of the things that doesn't work well, or I guess it keeps you from just annihilating everybody, is say you're focused on, say there's a warrior you're fighting in zone B. Those AI will still hit you. So you might be locked onto this guy fighting him while these guys are hitting you. So you have to make the decision of, do I pop off and fight these guys and kind of avoid this guy for now? Or how do I handle this? Do I have somebody coming in and back up? So point B is kind of like the one you want to get to own the game, but at the same time, if you can hold A and C, theoretically you'll win that match as well.
Interesting.
So did you get all that? That was a lot of information.
It was a lot of information. I still think I want to try it before I buy it.
I'll have it. So
like a little little uncertain to me still. I think I'm more inclined to pick up Wildlands just because I have a feeling that would be more fun as a group.
Yeah.
And it sounds more like my shtick.
Well, it's weird because For Honor, I mean, I've literally one of the podcast topics you wrote down earlier. One of the podcast topics I wrote down, if I can speak, was how Division kind of changed my view on games. And I'm not going to go ahead and do it here, but like it kind of opened the door to other experiences that I wouldn't normally play. And I think
do a vlog on it for a Friday.
I don't vlog.
You vlog.
I'll vlog naked. How's that? That'll get views, right?
I mean,
it actually might turn people away.
Yeah, I think we would lose some
views
with that.
What do you think? You guys want to see me naked?
You want to see me nut? Come on, man. It's a family show.
Naked, vlogging. But no, getting back to the sequel thing. Do sequels help or hurt a game? I think it comes back to a couple things. One, how good the first game was, and two, are they smart enough to build upon what made the first game good and make those great, or add in something that makes that game that much better?
I always feel like sequels are super risky for the company, because obviously if they get traction with a game, the natural inclination of a developer is to be like, well, let's just do this but better, because they already have invested.
You already have the assets done. Like, it's cheaper for them to make a sequel than it is to make a new IP.
Yeah, I mean, they can just tweak a few things here and there, and like I was saying, at that point they're invested in the characters.
They pull the Apple mentality of like, let's add in Siri.
Right. But the problem is that if you don't improve it enough,
people
or if you go too off kilter to what the original stuff was, and it kind of ties back to every other media format. If you think about the band that releases their first album, right? So you got a band, they've been touring together, like creating songs, writing songs, crafting songs, honing them for years and years and years, and they finally get signed and they finally put out an album, but they've had like 10 years sometimes to get those songs right,
if that.
And then between the first album and the second album, they get maybe a year to do it, and they already have like all of their kind of blood and guts like
already spilled, trying to get to that point.
So they're like, so then what else do you do? The same for movies. You have movies like the Saw franchise that just like, the first one is a cult classic. They're like, how can we make better on this? Same for Paranormal Activity. First one's a cult classic, but then they just kind of, those you can recognize them as being cash-ins, but there are other movies where genuinely the sequels are better than the originals, like Aliens, Terminator, things like that. Yeah, Exorcist 3. If you've never seen Exorcist 3,
I've never seen any of them.
Right, so the first one's a cult classic, obviously, or even just a classic, and the second one was a piece of shit. Third one was a completely different movie, so it was actually supposed to be called Legend or Legion or something like that, and they had this script already made for this different horror movie, and they said, hey, how about we make it an Exorcist movie just to cash in on the name. So the third Exorcist movie is actually a really good standalone horror movie. It just has fuck all to do with The Exorcist. So it's there are those ones that do stand out, but it's the same problem. It's, once you've put all your thought in, where do you go? One
of the things I think I just thought about this while you're saying that is kind of how things derive from it, or you have derivative works from the initial work. Is you have, in my opinion, you have two types of sequels. You have direct sequels to what just happened, and you have indirect sequels, which is in that universe with different things.
Right.
I think direct sequels have a limited, finite number, because you can only tell a story for so long. Look at Star Wars. I mean, granted, Star Wars is still going, but episode 1, 2, and 3, at best. Well, 7, 8, 9 is still to be determined. 7 was pretty good, but it was very much like A New Hope. So I love that movie. I love the Star Wars franchise. I was one of those people that was screaming, this is A New Hope.
Well, so Uncharted recently did that kind of the same principle, didn't they? Because they had the Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they just released a different Uncharted, which is you're playing a girl. We played Chloe, I think her name is, and it's the same engine.
Or Far Cry. Far Cry did the same thing.
Yeah.
Where you got Primal. So what made me think about it was, as you know, I'm a Mario fan. I was like, what makes Mario, like, technically every Mario game is a sequel. Because it's all in the Mushroom Kingdom. They may not be a direct sequel.
They're never direct. Not that I can tell.
Well, the only ones that were direct, this is a little history lesson of Mario, but the only ones that were direct was Mario 1 and 2 in Japan. What is known as Mario Lost Levels in the United States.
I was going to say Mario 2 was not direct here.
Because there was Doki Doki Panic.
Right.
So, but those are the only two that were directly influences of each other. But they are technically sequels of the game before it, but not direct sequels. They're derivative works from that universe. So what makes Mario Mario? It's the running, the jumping, the platforming, and the power-ups. Like, eventually you keep adding stuff in that makes it what it is. And I think that's usually the better route to go. Like, you keep the core mechanics, and because you can only do, like I said, you're a finite number of things. Like Mass Effect. Mass Effect 1, I've not played it, so I can't speak to it 100%. But Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 was a closed story. You're done. The new Mass Effect, Andromeda, from what I can understand, is not part of that original lore. But
same galaxy, different characters.
But Mass Effect fans will understand. It's one of those things where it's like when you watch a movie and you'll get more out of it if you watch the one before it, but you don't need to watch the one before.
You could play it separately, but you will probably miss a few references.
Yes. Yeah. So that kind of thing. So, like, I'm trying to think.
Final Fantasy is never direct.
They need to stop the damn numbers.
Final Fantasy is awesome because they're just thematic. That's the thing. There's a theme to every Final Fantasy game. In every Final Fantasy game, there's going to be Chocobo. In every Final Fantasy game, there's going to be some form of an Aeon or summon or whatever you want to call it. And that's what I like about it is they always have the core concepts there, but they will change up the gameplay, something else. I mean, they went from a turn-based strategy game into a complete free-for-all action, RPG. So they weren't afraid to make those differences, but to your point, they did number them and all, and they even included the online only ones in the numbering process, which makes it more confusing. So
as somebody, as you know, we've talked about this before, I've never played Final Fantasy. I kind of intrigued by it, but the part that's kept me away from it is because there's 15. Like,
but they're not related.
I know, I get that, but from an outsider perspective, like, shit, there's 15. I've not played. I don't understand the lineage. I don't understand this kind of like behind it, the chocobos, like the themes behind them. I'm sure if I played the game by itself, I'd well, I don't know if I'd like it because, again, no friends.
There's a level of it that just doesn't matter. Like, I mean, for like like you said, it's like a book accompaniment or something. Because when I see a chocobo, I'm like, oh yay, chocobo. If you've never seen one before, you can be like, oh yay, giant yellow bird that I can ride, and it's still fun. It's still like, you know, like even seeing it for the first time in a later game, it's still a fun thing. You might miss stuff, like they have like a character called Sid in every game, and they always change who it is and what it looks like and that kind of stuff. It really is that detrimental to gameplay or your enjoyment of it? Not really. You
know what game does it the best when it comes to derivatives but keeping it its core audience is Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon as a core system has not changed one bit since they've added more things. They've gone to new regions. The new one's called Aloha region, I think, the Hawaii region for Sun and Moon. And to me, I want to jump back into that. I don't own a 3DS, but I would love to get a 3DS at some point or 2DS and jump back into that. But it'd be interesting to see, because I've not played since Gold and Silver was the last ones I played. Like, actually, those were the last ones I played, period. The ones I played most were obviously Red, Blue, and Yellow. But Pokemon, I think, is a prime example of how derivatives work really well, but you don't alienate fans but that's also not built around a character. You play as the character, but that's built around, like,
but also the derivatives of Pokemon, I don't think hit anywhere near the success level as the actual main games.
No, other than I think Pokemon Stadium might have come close on N64.
Pokemon Stadium is probably close, but like stuff like Hey You Pikachu, and that kind of stuff.
Pokemon
Those were
Snap.
more gimmicky.
Pokemon Snap is a beloved game, but it did not sell well.
It's a cult classic. That's the thing. It's like
well.
it's not really prime time material, but for some people, like that's their shit. They love taking pictures of Pokemon.
I love that game to death.
Yeah.
Like I want to pick it up for the 64 at some point.
Yeah.
But no, so sequels, like I said, the derivative works are the best way to go, in my opinion, versus direct sequels. But I think if you do direct sequels, you have to let it be known from the get-go it's going to be a direct sequel. Or when you announce the next thing. Like, I think when a company makes a new IP, they hope it's going to be successful. Every company wants it to be successful, but they don't know. And when it becomes successful, like The Division is a prime example. Division was the number 3 selling game last year, which kind of surprised me. I'm not going to lie. It was behind Call of Duty, or Battlefield was number 1, I believe, and then Call of Duty was number 2, and then Division was number 3. Granted, the hype when that game first came out was ginormous, but that game was so broken. So many people were mad at it, but they fixed it, came back, and you know for a fact there's going to be one of two things going to happen. The rumor is either Division 2 or they're going to do a Season 2 like they did with Rainbow Six Siege. And I've told you I'd buy Division. If Division 2 was announced today, right now, I would buy it in a heartbeat without even questioning it, assuming it stays to the same core mechanics. And what I would like to see, and this is kind of where the sequel comes in, what I like to see is, I'd love to see just the Division story expanded. So I'd love Season 2 more than I would like a Division 2. But if Division 2 did come out, I would love to see like LA in the same situation, same time frame. So you were in New York before. This is what was happening in LA, and at some point you get to when video games and consoles become powerful enough, you can see the whole big picture.
Right.
So that's
kind of similar to how Elder Scrolls did it, because every Elder Scrolls game is a different area of Tamriel, and then when they did online, they were like, "Fuck it, let's throw them all together."
Yeah. So I'd love to see something like that because I'm invested in that world. I don't. Especially in a game like that, when you make your own character, you're invested in the character at that time, but that character is not important to the story. I mean, he is because he killed people and all that kind of stuff, but when it comes to making that story, as I call my character, Chuck, doesn't matter. The other people that are in there, and I don't want to do any spoilers. If you haven't played Division yet and finished the story, you should. But some of the other people do matter, and I would love them to be referenced. So, like, if they went to LA, they would have reference to somebody in New York. Maybe
stuff going on in New York,
and you'd have that hierarchy that's built up behind the scenes.
Yeah, built a bigger lore.
Yeah. So to me, that would be, like you said, Elder Scrolls did it beautifully. Like,
I'm surprised that the Division got 3 when you said like it's been, people have been waiting for a little while for Division. But was it been 3 years, something like that?
It's the reason I bought a PS4.
But then, but Final Fantasy 15 is the reason I bought a PS3.
Yeah.
So that was, you're talking about 10 years and it never made it near the top of that list. Last Guardian, 9 years, never made it to the top of that list. So it had stiff competition and still won out this year, because this year was a really good year for comebacks of characters and also just like games that have been stuck in development hell. And it's going to be really interesting to see how things go going forward. I think now that we have our first official AAA VR game as well, that's going to take on a whole new meaning too. So now. There's just been nothing but praise for that game in both regular and VR.
The only complaint,
and that's a sequel, and they changed that fucker up.
The only complaint I've heard with that is just the length of game. But
what's wrong with it?
I've had a few people say it's too short.
It's a 10 to 12 hour experience. As far as VR games go,
when you play it in VR, it is. But when you play it outside of VR, there's people that do it in about 5, and they're like, I paid $60 for a 5-hour experience. But to me, that's like you're not exploring enough.
You're not getting the most out of it.
But
you're definitely not
I was just letting you know that, like when I've gone in and read like comments on it of like negatives. That's the only negative I have is,
but
it's not long. But they just announced DLC. Like that's
and compare it to the previous entries. All the Resident Evil games were like the newer ones have been short. Like 5 and 6 were short. 4 was relatively short. It was 10 to 15 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's historically, if a single player campaign is all you're going for, and if you add DLC, the weird thing about Resident Evil mostly is that there's usually multiplayer, and I can't honestly think of a better game in recent memory that's ripe for some super fun side multiplayer games than Resident Evil. Can you imagine like being able to control one of the family members while the other person's going around in VR or whatever?
Nope.
It'd be amazing.
I would hate to. I will never touch that game. It sucks because I wish I could, but at the same time, I know
that's
I'd
fine.
be.
But I'm just happy that that's helped to legitimize VR because I'm still very, very much a fan of it. It's still one of the biggest game-changing things I've witnessed in gaming, and since I
David Macaroni Dave has been trying to pick one up for a little while now. Or he's not trying to pick one. He's looking around because he's going to pick one up soon, and he can't find them anywhere.
Well, they sold out the first run, and then they had a second run come out, and they sold out of those too. And
again, the rumor's been they're having display issues, and I think they've fixed that, but they still have to then manufacture those units.
Honestly just think a lot of it is demand as well, because it was something that it was completely unproven. But as soon as the majority of the general public got their hands on it and were like, oh, actually, fuck yeah, this is really interesting, I think more people got on board with it. But what you have to remember is that with a $500 piece of kit like that, what runs a lot of the video game industry is kids, and kids don't have $500 to spare. Mm-hmm. They also, it's risky for them to use VR to begin with. But they will maybe, like, if they are lucky, ask for like a console or something for Christmas, and they might get that. But those consoles are $300 nowadays. So you're asking for $200 more than a standard console for what is essentially a peripheral. But the experience, again, for those that have had the honor of doing it, is unmatched. So it's kind of it's exciting.
I still stand behind, because Sony adjusted their sales numbers, so that means something had to go wrong. Because they predicted by the end of 2016 they're going to sell 1.5 million units. They sold 700,000. And to me, if Sony's predicting that does not, because as you're saying, I think the demand is there. I just don't think they're able to supply the demand, because
I think if they had enough units for everyone that wanted one, they would have hit that number easily.
Because if they made that number, that is them saying, hey, we expect to have this many units. Because they wouldn't say that number and be like,
so something must have gone wrong.
So I think it's a combination of both the demand and the supply at the same time, where it comes down to, I mean, we see it all the time with anything like Switch. Nintendo's notorious for having low supply, but I think part of that is inflated because it makes it look good. I don't think Sony, because the other thing that makes me think there's a supply issue is Sony's not talking about it. And I saw my first PlayStation VR ad the other day on TV.
Me too.
So that makes me which one?
The Batman one?
Yes. So it makes me think that it's now going to come around that corner, and I think they didn't want to do anything because it's been like, why are you not talking about this? Like, it's a $400 unit. PS4 Pro came out, didn't get any fanfare either, but I could kind of see that. But look at how hard Xbox pushed the One S. But granted, Xbox needed to catch up. So I'm hoping that we're kind of on the other side of that corner of them being, okay, we're going to put
time to start pushing it.
Yes, because we can now supply the people that want it.
Can meet the demand.
Or hopefully.
I mean, like, it's and because Capcom have now proven it, I expect to see a lot more developers building games from the ground up.
It makes me excited. There's a PSVR sale as we're recording. Like that. That to me is cool. Because that to me, it could be taken one of two ways. One, PlayStation VR is not selling, and they need to push more games. But I don't think putting the games on sale will sell the units. I think putting the games on sale, sell more games to people who own the units.
And make more people want to develop games. Because they're going to get more money out of it. But also, the PSVR sale has been something that's happened in every country except for the US so far. Europe had their PSVR sale closer to Christmas, and all the other areas have had their PSVR sale.
But it also looks like, to me, it's Sony going, hey, we haven't forgotten about you.
Yeah.
That's all it's like the you have two strikes, like, we're not going to strike you out, we haven't forgotten about you, type thing. And
I think most people were waiting for it, and the majority of PSVR owners will see it as a win as opposed to a lose. I think,
and
me included.
As again, somebody who's donned the headset and gone in, it is one of those things when you talk to people, it's really hard to explain.
There's no way to accurately explain it. I've come to that conclusion a while ago. There's no way for me to tell you what that feels like. You just have to do it, and the first time you do it, you will be evangelical.
The fact that my dad, and I think the only person in my family that didn't like VR was my mom, because she was like, "This looks fake." I think hers was the fidelity thing. So I don't know if the headset was on right or wrong or whatever.
Right.
But she was just like, "This is weird." But I also think it's because I didn't have a good game to show her based on what she likes.
Right.
So that could have been it as well. But my dad doing what's the shark? Ocean Descent. Watching him physically react to a shark coming at him, because he was, I mean, a big tough dude. He's like, well, big. He's 5'5", but big tough dude. Yeah, I'm gonna play the shark. I'll be fine. Yeah, let's do it. And he was cool until the shark started coming at him, because it slowly builds up, as you know. So the first time it comes at him, he's like, "Whoa!" And then when the door's gone, that's when shit really happens.
Because that's when you feel like you're exposed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was funny watching that, because again, when you pull the headset off, we joke about it whenever we're recording at the end, like, welcome back to reality, but it's that truth of like, I was not there, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are getting over their VR leg situation as well, where maybe they weren't comfortable playing, or they had a lot of motion sickness. I do notice a lot of newcomers.
And also developers.
They're getting used to it. Yeah, they're paying attention to the games that are doing it.
Because you have to remember, from a developer standpoint, this is a whole new thing. They've never developed anything for a medium like this, and they don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
And they're learning as we go along. So I kind of like, to your point with Resident Evil, I'm kind of surprised we got that good of a game so quickly. I'm happy, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of surprised, because if that game's that good, do you know there's somebody somewhere that's making something that we're not thinking of that's going to be that better thing that makes VR go, why didn't we do this before? Like I'm going to use the example of Mario 64, the analog stick. Why didn't we use the analog sticks before? Yeah. I mean, technically computers did, I guess, with them.
Well, I think it's going to be a case of that, like right now, obviously with VR, you have lots of smaller indie experiences, which is great because it keeps a gravy train rolling. And there's people that will buy a $10 VR game.
And indies are the ones, I think, that are making the rules, because they have the least amount to lose.
Exactly.
To a certain extent.
So when you have these bigger developers that are paying attention to controls and being like, okay, how do we eliminate locomotion? Then you're going to have not only the indie developers, but also other developers looking at those and going, okay, well, this is how Resident Evil does it, so we should implement a very similar process. These guys had, not much motion sickness, or they might add to it and be like, well, this was good, but what else can we put on there that people might want?
I would love, I feel like, and I feel like this turns into a VR conversation, but I feel like what popped in my head was for like sports. There's the NBA 2K experience on there. I was like, that looks weird.
How are you going to do that and not use a move though? That was their mistake.
Yes.
If they had a move, I would buy that in a heartbeat.
Oh hell yeah! So I was thinking like baseball. If MLB The Show comes out and they said, by the way, we have a VR mode for All-Star Weekend where you can do the home run derby. How fucking cool would that be?
Yeah.
First person, because with baseball, I think running around the bases would be the hardest thing to do. Just from a sickness standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you don't control it. It's just
I think it would be a case of like looking to it and like, should I run? Yes, pressing it, and then you would be out of control. It would be like a cutscene or something. But you were just there for like hitting it and deciding whether you should run or not.
Yeah. So I'd love to like things like that, and we still haven't played the Tomb Raider one, but like things like that I think are that's the big developers going into like, we don't want to completely fund this yet because we just don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also, we want to play in this playground to see what's there.
Yeah.
So I'd like those and I don't like those at the same time, just because it's like, well, I want more, but at the same time, I'm glad you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm glad that someone is paying attention enough to give us those little morsels, but I think that Resident Evil and Capcom proved that there is much more potential there for literal game-changing experiences.
I really, really hope I hope Scorpio is VR. The reason I hope that is because it'll push it even further forward.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking third parties, because Sony will always, well, I don't want to say Sony will always, because they may not always support things, but Sony will always, for the most part, have titles coming first party for their stuff. Unless they say otherwise with the Vita. Right. But third parties, that's where you got to convince. And right now, I think the third party issue is it's only PlayStation. But you can do Vive, you can do Oculus, but think if Microsoft had VR as well, and you could do Star. I'm thinking Star Wars VR.
Right.
Like you could easily do a Star Wars VR game. Right.
I'm more so thinking a case of competition, because competition, as we know, drives success, and it drives people to try bigger and better things. This is a big risk that Sony took to make this happen, and Microsoft are not currently along for the ride. So you have them contending in this weird space of like the gear and the
you know what you can do with Microsoft?
Oculus and
you know what you can do with Microsoft? You can put the headset on. You can plug it into your computer. You can then AirPlay from your Xbox to your computer and play it in window mode.
Right. So yeah, I mean, there's stuff going on, and I think that the more stuff that
and you got to know Microsoft's keeping an eye on this to see how it does.
Absolutely,
you've got to. It's the same thing with both companies are looking at the Switch to see how that does.
Yeah.
Because if that does something,
that'll be something they look at.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with
they shamelessly rip each other off.
It's the same thing with the fucking Move controllers and the Kinect was a little bit different, but Kinect was their response to the Wii, but it was a different response than what Sony did. Sony, I think, directly ripped them off. Microsoft said, we're going to rip you off, but do it slightly different.
I do still feel like, to an extent, the Move was a better idea on Sony's behalf than trying to make some kind of tracking software, because as much as I appreciate the Kinect's power and the things that it can do, I don't think it's ever been implemented correctly.
Have you ever seen a Kinect run a PC?
Run a PC? What do you mean?
Like, run applications on a PC? No. It's fucking amazing. Like, it's that... When they opened it up, because initially it didn't open up for Windows, once they did that, it was like the dev kits they have for that is really cool. I'm a huge fan of Kinect.
Right.
First generation. I loved it. Didn't play that often just because there wasn't much for it, because it lost support pretty quickly. But even things like, and I guess you could do this with headset, but like in Madden, hey, Jimmy Graham, run a fly, and Jimmy Graham would run a 9 route. Or I did the fucking Ubisoft Your Shape Fitness Evolved. Like, that was a workout regimen for me to do at home, and it was more accurate than me doing the Wii one, because you're not waggling the controller or sitting on a board. You're actually getting tracked in your body parts, but that has issues because when you're doing sit-ups, you can't see all your body parts. The other weird thing is when you wear boxers and you're playing with Kinect, you can see your Playboy Bunny boxers on the screen.
Okay.
So, a little fun fact. But no, I don't know. I'm excited to see what VR has in the future. I'm excited to see what Microsoft does with it. I'm excited to see what Nintendo Switch does with what they've got going on. I don't think Nintendo's going to have VR anytime soon. They won't have the power.
No, they won't.
But,
fine. We're just going to let Nintendo be Nintendo and see what happens as far as that's concerned.
You'll let Nintendo be Nintendo. I'm still going to harp when they do shit wrong, and I'm going to cheer when they do things right.
Yeah.
Mario, you better be good. Mario, if you're good, I'm going to buy you. I'm going to say right now. I'm going to state right now, because people have gotten mad at me. If Mario Odyssey is a good game, I will buy the Switch.
Okay.
If it is not a good game, I will wait to see if there is a good game that will make, or if something comes up between now and then. Who knows? That's the cool thing about game development. You don't know.
I think when you get your hands on one, you'll have a better understanding. I think that's the big barrier right now, is that it's still an unknown quantity to an extent. So we can't really tell how fun a game like ARMS is going to be without actually trying to
Snipper
play
Clips looks fantastic.
Yeah.
That game, that's going to be the sleeper game. It's going to sell millions of units.
We'll see.
It's going to sell the game or the console.
We'll see.
Now, I think it's going to be. I honestly think it's the sleeper of the launch. But
there you go.
But
so yeah, that's quite a tangent on the idea of sequels. But I mean, I think that we basically made our point there. That sequels generally are a good idea. Most of the time, it works better if they're indirect. If they are direct, you better have your shit together.
Yes, like Mass Effect, I think, is a perfect example of
improvement.
Again, I've not played it, but everybody who plays it is like, it's been amazing. Other than the ending is controversial, but. They still say it was a great experience.
Yeah, Uncharted, Uncharted 1, good game, but not awesome. 2, amazing game. 3, dropped it back a little bit. 2 was, renowned for being a little bit better, but it wasn't a poor game. And then 4, really, really popular. So it's touch and go. It's almost the same as movies, but I think that games get more leeway the higher they go, whereas movies get less leeway the higher they go.
It depends. I mean, like you said, it all depends on how far away you get from the original work.
Well, there's so many ways you can tell a story, but there's definitely more things that you can do to improve a game. like, you know, in terms of gameplay, sound quality, etc., etc. But, you know, movies, it's all
just make every game
script.
VR. That's what we've decided for Derivative Works.
I really,
every game should be VR.
I want to see some kind of a large level RPG.
For Honor would be a great VR. I was thinking Elder Scrolls. If Elder Scrolls has VR, well, Fallout has VR. Fallout has VR. They've announced that it'll be supported on, I think, the Vive.
Right.
I can't remember. I want to say it's Vive. So it's going to have VR.
It would be stupid not to at least try to bring that to the Sony machine.
The only issue I think they're going to have is because that world is so huge.
Yeah.
On top of running VR, like
there has to be a way to do that, to deal with that though as an issue.
I'd assume so.
Just
I
loading
don't know.
different areas differently or whatever.
Yeah, I don't make video games. So
I think if we can get a full-fledged VR RPG this year, that will be the nail in the coffin of any haters on the VR. And,
or fucking,
you know.
we did the Danganronpa thing. It may not be up yet, but we recorded Danganronpa, and like that made me think like Family Feud in VR would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like
party games would be great.
Yeah.
More party games. I mean, Sony, like, they really dropped the ball as far as party games are concerned. Mini games,
Carnival.
things like that. They have, like, the Carnival game. And
which I played that, and I was
bar
like,
game, sports bar, or whatever.
Haven't
But
played
those
that
are
one
not, like, you could do better.
Yeah, Wolves Within, everybody is saying I need to play that.
Yeah,
so
me too.
wait.
I bought it, like I said. I just haven't had a chance to play it yet. So, but I'm excited to give that a shot at some point.
Somebody make Family Feud VR and Wheel of Fortune VR, and I'm sold.
Wheel of Fortune would be really cool.
Just the only thing is you'd have to have multiple people in. Well, I guess you could do one person in VR,
yeah,
and one not, but
yeah, I could play against each other like that. Yeah,
or you could do just online VR.
I think we're rambling at this point, aren't we?
Nope. I'm just keep talking, filling dead air. I'm gonna fill the dead air. For those of you, our camera shut off.
Oh, god damn it!
That are watching, because you're not.
Well, we might be on audio at this point, so let's stay on audio, and we'll do like a quirky freeze frame or something.
Yeah, maybe. For those of you who are listening and or watching,
hi.
Check us out at level2gamers.com. That's our YouTube channel. That is where you will find all of our videos Monday through Friday, and streams on Sundays, and on Twitch on Sundays as well too, because we dual stream now, so you can see us in both. I'm missing Twitter at Level 2 Gamers STL, Instagram Level 2 Gamers STL, Facebook Level 2 Gamers STL. Is that it?
We are the Level 2 Gamers, and we are from STL.
That's Steel, in case you're wondering.
Huh?
Steel.
Is it?
STL, Steel.
Oh, there you
If
go.
you sound out, it's Steel.
That's true.
But it's STL because it's
Or
St. Louis.
stale.
Stale. No, because there's no A. It's Steel.
There's no E either.
I know, but ST, the T sound would be still.
Ah, fucking hell.
Still.
Too tired. All right, so we're approaching the dangerous hour where me and Keegan get loopy. Let's
go record.
Tie up this episode, play some games, and we'll inject that loopy into something a bit more interesting. Yeah. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, or listening. And as always,
welcome to the second level.
Bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.